What's going on, guys? I'm Trent.
And I'm Nikki,
This is The
the
Great
Great
Corner.
Corner.
Both of us wanted to make a podcast and talk about, a bunch of different things, delve into topics, get a deeper understanding of life, what it means to live, what it means to think, what it means to feel. So we're doing that. My goal for this is to just understand things more, get, things talked about, you know, actually have a conversation about things that people don't feel comfortable talking about.
And my personal goal to this is learning more, having other opinion to base off of. And I'm a big Christian, and I would love to educate people more on the Bible with misinterpreted verses and be able to talk about the stuff that makes people uncomfortable. And I know I am very well versed in the Bible and learning about God and Jesus, and I know Trent is also learning, so it'd be a good bounce back and forth between the two of us. And I think this would be a perfect opportunity for others to listen into that as well.
Yeah, because I'm newfound in my religion or faith or whatever you want to call it. I've always been a big science guy. I've always looked, I'm more. I used to always be a if I see it, I can believe in it type of person. And recently, trials and tribulations and whatnot, life was lifing for sure. And I just took a step back and I realized, man, I need to find a better way. And I found it through Jesus, and I found it through just God and talking and being more open and more receptive of his potential messages and what have you. But I feel as if I look at it in a different type of light just because of how my mind operates and my personal life experiences and things. And, that's why today's topic for the podcast is going to be about religion, Christianity in particular. Like she said, I am still learning and I have a more my approach is a bit different, I guess. So this is also a learning experience for me too.
Yeah, I think that's amazing. I think it's beautiful that people could just not believe and then just have something that brings them closer to God. And I think that's what the point is, to be able to live life and then find Jesus and be able to find a reason through him.
Right.
And I think that's a beautiful topic. And I feel like a lot more people have to be open minded to it and be able to have a conversation about it and not have it be such a taboo topic.
Yeah, and also, because we're in the South, right? And the predominant religion around here is Christianity, and that's something I always not necessarily struggled with, but I was like, how are you going to tell me this is the right way to live when there's people all over the world that think of things so differently? You're going to go and tell them they're wrong because of where you grew up and what is popular around you. It never made sense to me, but I I believe what I believe because of what I feel instead of versus what I think should be right, what I think is the correct way. Because I truly don't believe there is one correct way to do anything. It's what works for you, what makes you happy, what makes you content, what brings you peace.
And I think even with that, if a religion brings you peace, I think it's beautiful. And I'm open to all suggestions of like, I don't think it's right to ever knock a religion. If that's something that you're not into, that's understandable. And I'm never going to knock somebody for that. And I feel like that's a lot of things that us Christians fall short on. We always tell people, you're wrong, you're wrong. No, there is no wrong. It's just a personal preference and personal aspect. My personal preference is Jesus. But I'm never going to knock somebody. Whenever they come to, they will. And I think that's the beauty in it.
I will say the one thing I cannot get behind at all is them Scientology people. What are they talking about? But that's just me though. That's just me. I mean, your God was a science fiction writer, bro. Like Tom Cruise. I love your movies. What are you thinking, bro? That's just me
I'm not educated on that.
All right. So let's delve into the Bible. Let's delve into Christianity. Show me what you got.
Absolutely. So, first question I do have for you, do you believe that Jesus is the incarnate of God, or do you think that he is just a man? Because I know that's when we butt heads on.
Yeah, we've talked about this before. My stance, as of right now, my stance would be that Jesus was a man. Um, and he wasn't, you know, I feel as if he wasn't on like no mystical type of wave. He wasn't like he just tapped into something better than himself. He tapped into this energy, this cosmic force, which is God. And he was like, man, let me put y'all on game. Let me show y'all the way. Because I feel like Jesus was that guy because he knew what was up because it felt so true and real to him. And he was willing to die for it, and he did. When he got hung on the cross, is because I feel as if it was for, man, I believe in this so much, and this is pure, this is true. I'll show y'all. I'm gonna die for you. I'm gonna show you I believe in this so much. You can too. I'm gonna die.
Well, all right. So then, do you not believe the New Testament is pure truth then? Because that is what it is based off of, is that Jesus is God. So I know you believe that all sins are forgiven. But how would you believe that if you do not believe Jesus is God and he died for you?
Well, for me, I feel like there is no such thing as sin in the explicit concept of the Bible and Christianity, because we don't know how God thinks, because God is not a person. What is bad for you might be great for me. So who's to say that one simple thing is how God feels, because we don't know. He's not a man. He's not a human. He doesn't feel these human emotions. He doesn't have these human feelings, these human temptations. He doesn't have that. So why can you sit there and say that's a sin, and I have to believe you because you think it is?
Well, it's not me though. It'd be technically the Bible speaking, because the Bible speaks about what would be right and wrong
But a
in that.
lot of it is misinterpreted. Like tattoos, for example. We're both heavily tattooed people.
Yeah.
And I know you have the verse actually. What is it?
Yeah, it is Leviticus 19:28. It says, "Do not cut your bodies for the dead or put tattoo marks on yourselves."
Right. And I feel like that gets interpreted the wrong way a lot, because I know that stems from the paganism ideology, where they would
Yes.
cut themselves and they would sacrifice stuff to their gods, quote quote. And but it gets misinterpreted and pushed onto people as if, like, oh, if you have tattoos you're gonna burn in hell, and I just don't think God operates on that wavelength. I truly don't believe that.
Yeah, and I actually 100% agree with that. I don't believe that tattoos are a sin. I think that people more so have to listen into what the Bible verse is talking about. Instead of focusing on the verse of what it says,
Right.
you have to read the whole passage and understand the concept of what is going on, because so many things can be interpreted not correctly in that sense.
Yeah.
Because if you're going to point out passages, so many things could be just totally wrong, and you use that to your advantage in conversation, but that's not what God is saying.
Yeah, and also it's tattoos are about self-expression.
100%.
Tattoos are not harming anybody. I mean, unless you're doing some crazy stuff
Yeah.
like decapitated Barbie dolls on your throat or something crazy like that. But it's like it's self-expression. So why wouldn't God want me? He knows I live in this world of sin, of just craziness. Why wouldn't He want me to feel okay in my body? Why wouldn't He want me to share the inner parts of myself and put it on my arm, or my knee, or my throat, or whatever the case may be, to let people see who I truly feel I am on the inside. Because God can see my inside, but you
Hmm.
can't, because you're not Him, and vice. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I honestly think art is beautiful. However way you use it to express yourself. I love tattoos. I think they're just pure beauty, because you as a person are putting art on yourselves from another human, and you could share that moment, and you will now be left with that art of who you were and how you are. But I don't think that, so a lot of people actually use it as like, oh, it's the mark of the beast. But I personally don't agree with that, because then that means that you cannot be saved after you are already marked with these tattoos.
Right.
As long as you have good intentions behind them and you just mean it in the purest of ways, I don't think you would be locked out of heaven for that, especially if you're a newfound believer, because so many people who are tattooed, and I've met somebody who had a bunch of Satanistic tattoos on them, and they blacked out their whole arm and started making a Jesus sleep.
I know exactly who you're talking about
Yeah.
too.
And I think that's beautiful, because it shows his progression as a human, and I think that is one of the most beautiful things you could do.
Right, and it's like, look at Dahmer. Okay, Dahmer got saved. He did all those horrible things and
Yeah.
he killed all those people, but and he got arrested and he's in prison. He got baptized.
Hmm.
Um, and a lot of people will say, yeah, that he's forgiven.
Hmm.
But you're telling me because I tattooed my body, I'm going to hell. But Jeffrey Dahmer can kill and fry up Jeff and then just go to heaven? I don't subscribe to that theory at all.
Yeah, and like also think of the guy on the cross next to Jesus. He was a murderer. I'm not sure his exact sin, but I know he was a murderer, a thief, and he was getting crucified just right next to him. And all it took was for him to have a little faith in Jesus, and Jesus said, "You will be next to me in in heaven
Mhm.
tonight. And I think that's all it takes is just to have like a little bit of faith. I don't think it matters what's on your physical body because people have deformities.
Yeah.
People have a bunch of things. I don't think your physical appearance is what's going to keep you from heaven. Now, Mark the Beast, I don't know what that is.
Yeah,
But
growing up, I was always told that the mark of the beast was a barcode,
yeah.
and it never made sense to me because a barcode is a human invention because it just tells you the price of something. You know,
Mhm.
so are you saying capitalism is the mark of the beast? Are you saying money is the mark of the beast? Like, what are you truly saying? You're not saying that this black and white picture is the mark of the beast, are you? That's dumb.
Yeah, I think it'd be more something spiritually. I
Yeah.
don't think it would be something more physical. It might be physical. I'm not sure. It says it would be in either your right hand or your forehead. But to say that tattoos would be that, I do not agree with that because people also think it's cell phones. But it's going to be something you physically need to be able to not get accepted into heaven.
Yeah.
Because there's also a mark on the foreheads of people. I think it's 144,000 that are going to be going to heaven or something of that sort. But that's also another wrongly interpreted verse.
There's so much wrongly interpreted, and you know what? I feel my biggest struggle was always like, man, Christianity, and because of Jesus's teachings and stuff, like I respect Jesus because he was somebody who was willing to die for what he stood for,
Mhm.
and I feel like Christianity, it started off as something so beautiful, so pure, so true to what it was supposed to be, and now it's it's based off of hypocrisies, man.
Yeah.
Jesus literally says like, man, don't judge, love thy neighbor. If you know, I'll turn the other cheek, but you got pastors being like, man, if you're gay, you're going to hell. If you're
Yeah.
tattooed, you're going to hell. And it's
Hmm.
like, bro, you're a hypocrite. You're
Exactly.
literally not teaching Jesus's teachings, even though you subscribe to the Christian doctrine.
100%. Yeah. And I don't think that's right either because who are you to tell somebody about their own sin?
Exactly, you're not God.
Yeah. And I don't think somebody should be turned away because they have a different lifestyle than you. I think everybody is accepted in God's eyes. You just have to have faith in Him and understand His words and His teaching. Because all Jesus wants is everybody to love each other, and then that's how we will successfully achieve world peace. But because there's so much anger and human emotion in the way, I think there is no. I don't think anybody is truly going to follow the correct teachings of the Bible unless they truly understand the word, which is very hard. But if we actually put our mind to it and studied it and understood and just used love and passion instead of anger and manipulation, I feel like we would just be so much better off. But as for Jesus being, I personally believe he's a sacrificial lamb. I think that he was sacrificed for our sins, personally.
You think he was sent by God to be killed for the cleansing.
Yes.
I can see why. That does make sense, but I just feel as if Jesus was just a he was a guy. He was just like me, just like you.
He was.
Lived, breathed, slept, ate, um, and he just locked in. He tapped into something better than himself, and he was like, I gotta tell people about this. And he built this following because people were like, "Yo, my man Jay Christ, he's the truth." And he showed people like, "Man, you don't gotta be full of hate. You don't gotta be full of craziness, man. You just love and live and let live." And he believed in it so much that he was like, "I'm gonna show y'all. I'm gonna die, but I'm dying for this. This is what I'm dying. I'm dying for you."
Yeah, I know you previously said you don't believe in sin. So how do you believe we are saved?
I believe in sin as a concept, but I don't think it's a universal thing. Um, because it's like it's the same thing with like me personally. I I respect Jesus. I praise Jesus. I love his teachings. I very have so much respect for him because that's what makes sense to me. But let's say if my friend Jack, he believes in Muhammad. He
Mm-hmm.
is Muslim. He practices that faith, that religion, and it differs from mine. But he does no wrong. He
Yeah.
lives no bad life. He does the best he can to be the best he will be. And I do the same, believing in Jesus, and we both die.
Yeah.
I truly think that we will both go to heaven because no matter who your savior is, no matter who your prophet is, it's you worship the same God. You really do. He's
Yeah.
something that's above us. He cannot be really talked about. Words are not enough to describe what God is because we are humans. We are limited. We are dumb.
Mm-hmm.
compared to the universe, we are so insignificantly small, and
Absolutely.
God is better and above all of that.
Yeah, and I agree with that. I don't think any way is wrong, because I'm not one to say you're going to hell if you're doing that, because that's hypocritical. Because I'm going to hell if I say that too,
Right.
because I'm not God to say your sin is worse than mine. Because in the Bible, sin is all equal. But I think as long as you truly love each other and truly follow Jesus' teachings, I don't think he would have a problem with you in that sense. I think that everybody is saved equally, and I think it's just different ways to go about it, personally.
I think so. But, the biggest factor with people these days is not it's not religion. It's not, oh, what would God think? It's really people are motivated by the court of public opinion.
Mm-hmm.
What is socially acceptable to do? Like, that's why I don't believe in right and wrong.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like there's concepts of right and wrong, sure, but it's based off of what you know, what you grew up around. I personally think murder's bad. Murder, period, is bad. But let's say someone breaks into my house and I defend my home and I shoot and kill them. I can go to trial and beat that because the court of public opinion will say, oh, you didn't do anything wrong, you were defending yourself,
Yeah.
but I still killed somebody. That's why
Yeah.
I also don't believe in the death penalty. Because just because Charles Manson murdered 59 million people and the state of Cali is like, all right, we're going to sentence you to death, man, you're playing God. We're giving the government power to be like, we're going to take your life from you because you took all these other lives. Who's worse? Probably Charles Manson because he killed 59 million people,
Yeah,
but you're still murdering a guy and you have no right to do that.
I agree with that. Yeah, but I do believe, like, again, if we go biblically, just like Jesus with the woman who was being stoned, I don't think that anybody has the right to judge one another. But with that being said, you kill 59 million people, you got what you
Well,
got coming to you,
I,
you
I
know?
probably, I probably, that was a bit of an over
I know.
exaggeration, but the message was still laid in there pretty good. But it's just, I don't know, man. I just think taking a life is something that should never even be considered. No
100%.
matter if you're part of the government or your own individual person, it's just bad. It's, who are you? You didn't give that person life. You're not their creator, so who are you
Mm-hmm.
to take it from them? Who are you to
Yeah.
rob it?
I think honestly, death penalty is too nice. So like for some people, like personally, pedophiles, like I don't live for that.
Well, I mean,
But
it just depends on, and it also depends on your concept of what happens after.
yeah, 100%. But another thing I do want to delve into, Adam and Eve.
Adam and Eve.
Adam and Eve. What is your opinion?
I I'm gonna be honest, man. I think it's just a story.
Mm.
There's so much genetic diversity. There's no way we came from just two people.
Technically, being technical here. Now this is it goes by your opinion and personal beliefs. Uh, we actually technically came from Noah.
Really?
Yeah, after the ark and
Mhm.
all that, they came from Adam and Eve, yes. But that whenever they started populating is where we originated from.
Okay, then that means we're all incest babies.
We are, yeah.
But we're not.
But
But we're not.
eh,
There's so much genetic diversity, and like scientifically speaking, right? There are people with no links, with no genetic links.
yeah,
How is that possible if we all derived from? That's what you know. What is crazy? I think it's 55% of the our genetic coding is identical to a banana.
yeah,
Why? Because we all evolved on the same planet.
yes. But it's because we all come from dust, and to dust we shall return. And when that comes to so like Tower of Babel, for example,
Yes.
they all dispersed and went to different areas. I
Right.
think what evolution is our bodies taking form to the place that we were from. So like having blue eyes. They say that all people with blue eyes are actually related. That's a weird fact that I've heard.
I've never heard that.
Yeah, it's weird. But so people who were in more snowy areas, they would have lighter eyes or lighter features, and people with paler skin from being in the snow all the time.
Yeah,
And
an evolutionary trail of adaptation.
exactly, and that's how I believe that we all look different and have different appearances and
Then how would you explain the difference in genetics and DNA?
well,
How could if we have the same mother
yeah,
and we get DNA swabbed,
Mhm.
we're gonna pop up as a match. How are there people all over the world that if you put them in that exact same scenario, you have no resemblance of or any inkling of relation?
Well, that's because it went so far back. We're going thousands and thousands of years. So like there is a bunch of like fifth removed, like technically we're all related, just so far in that it's no longer taking count. You know what I mean? So that's why I think it is because like
I guess I never looked at it that way.
yeah. So how long ago was the ark, and how long ago was Adam and Eve? See, if you're going scientifically, it'd be billions and billions of years. So how would we not? We wouldn't say, oh, you know what? 8 billion years ago, actually, we had this person.
So you're saying that Noah's Ark could have been billions of years ago?
Uh, it really is up to interpretation of what you believe, but I don't believe it was that long ago.
Well, I can almost say I know it hasn't been because
Yeah,
before the Bible was written, there was the Epic of Gilgamesh that was around written before the Bible was published, I believe, and it was like 2,000 years before, and it told story of a great flood.
yeah,
And so I know a flood happened
yeah,
because there's a lot of different religions subscribe to that. They're like,
yeah,
yo, bro, there was a big reset, there was a flood that happened, it was bonkers.
yeah,
So like, yeah, you got a bunch of people saying the same thing. Obviously, some of it's coming from somewhere,
yeah.
but like Noah's Ark, man, my biggest thing on that is I don't think I don't think that every single animal was on that boat because look at all the animals that are landlocked, like kangaroos. There are not kangaroos just running around North America. They're landlocked in Australia
Yeah,
because they cannot swim across the continent.
yeah, but it did take him over 100 years to gather all of the
Then
animals.
how did he get to Australia?
It was over 100 years worth. I mean, we can get to Australia and back and take a little baby kangaroo. You know what I'm saying? So I think it kind of depends on how you look at it in that way.
True.
So it really, again, it just depends. But I do not believe that the Earth is billions of years old. I'm looking more into like tens of thousands, if not.
Really?
Yeah, because from a lot of stuff I've looked up in. Now I could be 100% wrong. I
Yeah.
could. I'm not saying that's true, and I don't want to get clips saying she's stupid. But I do think that it is not as far back as we genuinely believe.
So, okay, let me ask you, do you believe that the dinosaurs were around?
I do.
Okay, the dating on the fossils is millions of years.
Carbon dating has been disproven because they said that a
Really?
Sprite can was I cannot remember the exact amount of years, and again, not trying to get clipped. So I think that it's like I think it said it was like a few thousand years old, but the Sprite can was only from the 1980s. So carbon dating in that aspect has been a little bit disproven. Now people still go by it, but there's so much issues in technology and things that can be pulled up wrong. I
Right.
believe dinosaurs were 100% a thing.
Because
But
I was talking to somebody the other day, and I told you about
yeah.
this. They were like, "Bro, dinosaurs aren't real." Da 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 da. How if they? Because like, there's no way we have pictures of them, and I'm like, "Bro,
Bro.
we don't."
Yeah. No, I think they were 100% real. And honestly, chickens could have been the evolution from it because they have the same thing, and
Yeah.
that's what they say is.
Well,
So,
it's because you can. It makes sense on an evolutionary timeline because chickens are T Rex's ancestors,
yeah,
and we can track because that's the reason that all things on this earth have a common ancestor because we all evolved on this planet,
yeah,
and so with evolution and what we understand about it, we can trace it, we can date it, we can see. When was that split? When was the genetic divergence that caused a T Rex to turn into a little 2 foot little bastard like a chicken? You know what I mean?
yeah,
We can date it, and it makes sense with the math that we use. So I think the Earth is like old, way
yeah.
older than a couple thousand, couple ten
Yeah,
thousand
and that's
years.
definitely possible,
Yeah,
100%. And again, I'm open to all discussion, and I'm not saying my way is the true.
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
just
yeah.
saying what I think.
Same as me. Same as me.
Yeah, so that's just what I think, because I mean, I know Jesus was 2,000 years ago, that has been recorded. So now, 2,000 years prior to that
Mm-hmm.
was 2 years prior, 1,000 years prior to that was the Old Testament.
Right.
Rough estimate. Some people say 4,000, some people say 2,000, so that's up for discussion. But with that being said, how much longer ago was that?
Mm-hmm.
So Adam and Eve, they say that can be also in heaven. The Garden of Eden is in heaven at the moment. So did they
Right.
originate in heaven, and that's where the Garden of Eden was? But another question I have, since we've been on this one for a little while, um, Jesus' resurrection.
The resurrection of my man JC.
Yes.
What about it?
Do you not believe in it?
I struggle with that. I do struggle with that because there's no one coming back today. There's
Mm.
I mean there's not. I mean
Yeah.
if I got shot tonight, right
Okay.
now, in your
Yeah.
living room,
Yeah.
would I come back? Would I rise?
Well, I
Dome
mean,
tap, straight dome tap, I'm gone. Would
yeah,
I rise?
we have the Son of God in that aspect.
I don't think
Yeah, that ties
Jesus,
into your
because
thing.
we're all technically his children. So I'm
100%.
his son, you are his daughter.
Yeah.
So with Jesus being the son, he's either the son or he is God incarnate.
Yeah.
And it gets twisted and it confuses me because it's like you're saying two different things, but you're meaning one, and you're not coming across that way.
Yeah, and I totally see where you can get that mixed, but there is a lot of people who have died and came back.
Yeah, but with Jesus was dead for how long?
3 days.
3 days. Um, who's doing that? You know what I mean? There have been cases where like people have been like clinically dead,
Yeah.
but the way Jesus suffered on that cross, man, he was gone.
Yeah, but he also had to express that he was the truth because he told them that his temple will be rebuilt in 3 days, and with that as well as another misinterpreted verse because they say, "Oh, really? You're gonna rebuild this temple?" He meant himself because we are the body and the temple of Jesus.
But my thing is, when Jesus Christ, before he died, before he was hung on the cross, there's so much of a paper trail that proves that he was just the fact that he was a real person. There's
Yeah,
proof.
100%.
He was crucified under the ruling of Pontius Pilate,
Yes.
the the head of Rome at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And we know that because there's like letters of him mocking. That's why like the words over Jesus sometimes is like the Jew King,
Yeah, the King of the Jews.
the King of the Jews, and we know that he was a real person because of Pontius Pilate acknowledging that he got crucified, making fun of him, mocking him. But after he's crucified and resurrected, there's not as much concrete like 100 proof that he did come back. It's just people
Well,
saying, "Yo, my man JC, he popped back up."
so actually, have you ever heard of Shroud of Turin?
I have not.
You haven't.
I have not.
Oh wow. So it's up for discussion on if it is true or not.
Mm-hmm.
But there is a literal full shroud of a human that just has all the same, his spear mark, his hands.
You're talking about where they found the face?
Yes.
Okay, I have heard of that.
Yeah. And so, but they one thing they cannot get right is what was it that left this mark? Because it's like a perfect photo, and they had it inverted, and it's a whole thing that I've watched multiple documentaries on. It's so interesting to me.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if that was Jesus, nobody fully knows because it cannot be. But they did test the blood in it, and I believe he had 22 chromosomes, and it was really weird on the blood.
So what's the significance of it being 22?
No clue. I might be wrong. It might be more or less. People with extra chromosomes usually have Down syndrome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought people with Down syndrome were missing a chromosome.
No, they have extra.
Because, you never heard of, "I'm missing a chromie, can you help a homie"? You never heard? You never
No,
heard of
gosh,
that?
oh gosh.
I thought it was the other way around.
No, I believe it's extra. If you have extra, you end up with Down syndrome.
Okay.
So, but
Well, that's interesting, but then you got to think Jesus was crucified a long time ago, so
yeah,
maybe some of that testing that you were talking about, the carbon dating, how it was messed
yeah,
up, maybe DNA messes up.
absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and that's totally possible. And it's been proven, disproven, proven, disproven. It's really back and forth on it.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not 100%.
I get that.
Uh,
But that's the beauty of it, man. Anyone that tells you this is the absolute truth is lying because you
exactly.
don't know.
Yeah, and especially with faith, that's why it all goes by faith. But another question for you.
Okay, and I actually have one for you as well.
Oh,
You want me to go?
yeah, you can go first. I actually like four.
Do you truly think that hell is a real place and that God sends us there?
God does not send us there.
Okay.
But I do believe hell uh is a place because of what's been in the Bible.
Okay.
But with that being said, I do not believe what it is. I believe it's earth.
So what do you think? You think Earth is hell?
So that it's a really so you know how we get taken to heaven. There's
Okay.
going to be a new heaven, new earth, and a new Jerusalem whenever the resurrection, not the resurrection, my bad. Revelation happens.
Yeah.
And all of the believers, no, all of the people who don't believe, if they have the 7 year tribulation,
Hmm.
and they will figure out where they're going. And if they don't believe and they don't put their faith in Jesus, I think they stay here, and this is what turns into, lack of better words, eternal punishment. So this can be the lake of fire because who knows what's going to turn into? Because at that point, it's going to be bonkers.
Right. Right.
So I don't know if it's a place like underneath or what it is, but I know
So, do
under.
you think it's like a place like how heaven is? Like once you die, you go there?
I'm not 100% sure on that.
But are you sure that heaven is a real place?
Yes.
Okay, so how can you how can you not be as certain as for the bad?
Because, I mean, it's spoken about. Jesus speaks about the lake of fire, he speaks about eternal doom, stuff of that sort.
Yeah.
But it's not as described as heaven. In
Right.
heaven, he goes into detail about it and says what it's going to be and how we're going to have mansions and he's going to build houses.
So in the Bible, does Jesus ever go to
He
hell?
does
So
in those 3 days.
I wonder. That's very curious. Why he didn't describe hell as much? You think he want to warn
Hmm.
people like, "Yo, my man, don't kill that dude,"
He
because where I
does.
just went, you don't want to be there.
Yeah, but he does, though. That's when he says you'll be thrown into the lake of fire. But
But
it's never elaborated.
yeah, well, I wonder why he didn't elaborate more on that because you want to like, if you look at Jesus as like a salesman,
No.
he's selling you heaven. He's like, yo, do all this stuff, do this, do kind love, and where you're gonna go, let me tell you about it. Where you're gonna go is awesome. It's great. It's
Yeah.
got this, and if you don't, you'll find out.
I think lake of fire is enough. No?
I mean, it depends on the context
And
because if I'm like, hey, let's go set a lake on fire, you'd be like, yo, that sounds fun.
well, it's also gnashing of teeth. I know torture, stuff of that sort is explained, but it's never
Do you
really.
think that do you truly think that God made us and he there's stuff that we can actually do that he just would punish us for?
I don't think it's him though. I think it's us. Because if we're not going to follow, and like I spoke to you about this previously, more of if your son, if your son does not accept you and hates you and just saying the most harsh things and will not, you wait for him to apologize and you wait for him to change his ways. But if he never changes, why would you let him back into your house?
But I would never give up on him though.
Yeah, and he never gives up on us till the day we die.
Yeah, but there's no punishment there. There shouldn't be any punishment there.
Well,
Man, you're gonna find your way, and I'm gonna let you do you. And if
exactly.
something bad happens, I'm not gonna kick you while you're down.
Exactly,
I
but
feel like God would be, that's the same type of vibe God would be on.
yeah, and it is. But I think that whenever you're dying, you're in your deathbed, and you repent and you truly say, God, I'm sorry, that is when he will be like, I'm here for you. And I think, but if you die cursing him, why would he allow you back in?
Okay, so then let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Let's say someone lives their whole life good. They don't do bad.
Hmm.
They're not a murderer. They're not any type of bad way. I mean, like typical day to day, sins, if you want to call it that.
Yeah.
And the only thing is they never accepted Jesus. They never accepted Muhammad. They never accepted any type of higher power.
Yeah.
They never sat and said, no, that doesn't exist and that's stupid. They were just like, I don't know. I don't really care. It has nothing to do with me right now. And they live a great life and they die.
Yeah.
Do you think they get to go to heaven?
Well, did I don't I don't think they would go to hell for that because they did they follow Jesus' teachings not intentionally, but did they love each other? Did they?
Yeah, they lived the proper way,
Okay.
but they just didn't acknowledge Jesus. They didn't acknowledge any higher power for that matter. They didn't acknowledge anything, but they never denounced it either.
Yeah, but I think again, I'm not God to tell you what's right and wrong, but I wouldn't think they would go to hell if they still follow Jesus' teachings, whether intentionally or unintentionally.
Because you hear
Unintentionally.
a lot of especially pastors. They're like,
Yeah.
man, if you don't accept Jesus Christ, you're going to hell.
Yeah.
The fire and brimstone and the
Yeah.
scorched earth and all this stuff. And it's like, bro, if I just live a good life, maybe I'll be fine. Maybe it is okay.
Yeah. Well, again, I think a lot of this is gonna sound really bad. I don't think a lot of pastors do practice what they preach.
No, they are
And
what is the term in the Bible? False prophets,
yes.
bearing false witness.
Yes.
I think that's
And Don't get me wrong, I love my pastors. Like most every church I've went to, I always love them because they're down to earth people. They actually practice what they preach and they live how Jesus explained to live.
Right.
And I admire them for that. Like pretty much everyone I've been to. But I've heard unfortunate stories of some bad ones who will just tell people, get out of my church, this is not for you. It's like, whoa, 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 that is not what God would want. Because he left the 99 to find the one who was lost.
Ooh, bars. Bars.
So wouldn't you want the heavily tattooed person, the people who look like they don't belong, that I would be more accepting, like, please follow Jesus. Let me teach you what you need to learn, you know?
Right.
And I think that people are turned away, like homeless people. This is kind of off topic, but kind of the same. Homeless people are looked down upon like crazy, but Jesus was homeless.
That's facts, though.
Yeah, and so whenever they start being like, oh, they're just homeless, it's just this, I'm not going to give them my money. Those are the people who need it. The
Right.
people who actually need food and need this and need that. And it's like, why are you thinking you're better because you have money and you're rich?
And I don't go to church. I'm not a church guy, but not because I think it's bad. I've always struggled with my personal beliefs, and I don't want to sit there and have someone else tell me what to believe in or what the truth is, or read the Bible and tell me how they think it's supposed to be, and I'm just what supposed to subscribe to your belief? No, man, I'm struggling. I want to find what it means to me. I feel like that's the truth.
Yeah. And it's all down to like personal interpretation of like however you believe the Bible and however you resonate with it. I don't think it's right and wrong. I think however God talks to you, it's all a personal relationship, personal experience.
Of course.
I don't think it's black and white as you were saying as well. I think it's more of like however
Gray. It's gray. It's gray.
exactly. And I think that is what more people have to understand because you can't tell somebody, "Oh, well you're doing this, that's a sin." If they repent and they ask forgiveness and they learn, and that's personal with them and God, not you. You have nothing to do with it. If somebody comes into your church, be accepting and love them and learn about them
Yes.
and learn why they're there. Don't ever turn somebody away with their physical appearance or their physical opinion or anything of that sort.
Oh yeah, 100%. And but you know what? That's why I'm glad we can talk about it today. I'm glad that we have this opportunity, this privilege to just bounce ideas off of each other.
Absolutely.
Today it's Christianity. Next episode, we might do aliens. We might do
Yes.
space. Who knows? But you know, I feel like this is a great, awesome journey, and I said y'all better buckle in because we about to hit the road and hit some bumps.
Yeah, I hope you stay with us for it as well because we are going to get into some heavy topics
Some
and
pretty cray cray stuff, dude.
yeah, and I hope you're able to talk about it with us.
Oh yeah. But the biggest takeaway I want anybody who is listening to this, I want them to know and just truly think and remember that the truth isn't always black and white.
But sometimes
It's
it's found
found
in
in
the
the
gray.
gray. Thank you so much for listening and stay tuned for the crazy stuff.